On one Sabbath, Jesus was passing by the grain fields, and his disciples grabbed some of the grain and rubbed them in their hands, and they ate them. Some of the Pharisees was looking and said, "Hey, why are they doing which is unlawful to do on the Sabbath?" And Jesus replied, "Haven't you not read what David and his companions did when they were hungry? They entered the house of God and they ate the consecrated bread that was only lawful for the priest to eat." Then Jesus declared, "The Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath." On another Sabbath, Jesus entered the synagogue and he was teaching, and a man entered with a withered hand. The Pharisees were looking at him to see if he would heal on the Sabbath. That way they could have a reason to accuse him. But Jesus, knowing their thoughts, he looked at the man with the withered hand and said, "Stand up, come over here." And then Jesus looked at them. "I ask you a question. Which is lawful on the Sabbath? To do good or to do evil? To save a life or to destroy a life?" And after looking around at all of them, he said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he did so, and he was healed. And the Pharisees and the scribes were full of rage, and they started discussing among themselves what they would do to Jesus. You see, it's true. According to the Mosaic law, the only ones that could call themselves priests were the Levites. For Jesus came from the tribe of Judah. So how can you call yourself Lord of the Sabbath? If perfection could have came through the Levitical priesthood, why was there a need for another priest to come? You see, Moses never spoke about any other tribe but the Levites to be priests. This is what, in Deuteronomy 33, this is what Moses said about the Levites. He will teach your ordinances to Jacob and your law to Israel. He will set incense before you and hold burnt offerings on your altar. Bless his substance, O Lord, and accept the work of his hands. Smash the loins of those who rise against him and of his foes so they can rise no more. This is the blessing that Moses gave to the Levites, that they will be the only ones being to teach the law and the ordinances of God. But of course, through these priesthood, it was impossible for perfection to come. For year after year, they would have to offer sacrifices, basically reminding us that we're sinners, for it is impossible for the blood of goats and bulls to take away sins permanently. This is why a new priesthood had to be in order. And it came to the tribe of Judah, Jesus being the Lion of Judah. Therefore, since now there's a new priesthood, new laws have to be written. For the old law, it was just a reminder of us that we were sinners. But now through the new law, through the new covenant, God will write his words in our hearts, and we will be able to call him our God, and he will call us his people. So now the former commandments is laid aside because it was weak and useless. For the law made nothing perfect, and a better hope is introduced by which we draw near to God. You see, the law, it wasn't made for us to become perfect. It was just a reminder that we were sinners. It was an introduction for better things to come, for a high priest in the order of Melchizedek, Jesus Christ, to come. Jesus Christ, since he is a priest to the order of Melchizedek, he has no beginning and no end. We could receive this perfection, the forgiveness of sins, through this high priest that could enter the holies of holies and mediate for us. Therefore, with his blood, he has redeemed us. This Melchizedek was king of Salem and priest of God Most High. First, his name means king of righteousness, and king of Salem means king of peace, without father and without mother, without any genealogy, without beginning of days or end of life, the Son of God. Like the Son of God, he remains to be a priest forever. Now, because of this, Jesus has become a guarantee of a better covenant. Now, there have been other priests But since death prevented them to continue in their office, but because Jesus lives forever, he has a permanent priesthood. Therefore, he is able to save those completely, those that draw near to God through him, since he always lives to intercede for them. You see, no man ever takes this honor upon himself to call himself a priest, but God is the one that appoints, just as when God appointed Aaron. So also Christ did not glorify himself to become high priest, but it was he who said to him, "You are my son, today I have begotten you." As he also said in another place, "You are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek." See, Jesus Christ, when he walked this earth, he was heard by God because he had this godly fear. And though he was a son, he learned obedience through the things that he suffered. So having been made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation for those who trust in him. Jesus was called by God to be a high priest in the order of Melchizedek. And we have a lot more to say about this. I have a lot more to learn about this. Although by this time, you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you again the first principles of the oracles of God. You see, so now, since we have a high priest, since we have the Lord of the Sabbath, we could say, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who according to his abundant mercy has begotten us again to a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, to an inheritance incorruptible and undefiled, and that does not fade away, reserved in heaven for you, who are kept by the power of God through faith for salvation, ready to be revealed in the last time. In this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while, if need be, you have been grieved by various trials, that the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ, whom having not seen you love, though now you do not see him, yet believing you rejoice with joy inexpressible and full of glory, receiving the end of your faith, the salvation of your souls. Hope this message benefited you guys. Everybody have a blessed day. Shalom.